Head of Strategic Relations at the UK CAA. In her previous oversight of UK aerodromes and ATC units. With her qualification and experience,
second the nomination of Ms. Rensema as the chairperson for the conference. I believe with her rich experience in aviation, both domestically and internationally, she will successfully lead the conference to achieve its established goals. Thank you.
Thank you, United States. Saudi Arabia.
Yes, we support the nomination from Singapore.
Thank you, Saudi Arabia. Okay, I see no more requests for the floor. Accordingly, I declare that Ms. Kirsten Rensema of the United Kingdom is duly elected as chairperson of this conference. Congratulations. Now we proceed, while Ms. Rensema makes her way to the podium, now we proceed to the election of the vice chairperson. Any nomination, please? I have Germany. Germany, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, everybody. We would like to propose Lieutenant Brigadier Dominguez from Brazil as vice chairman. Lieutenant Brigadier Dominguez is an experienced captain with more than 4,000 flight hours. He's responsible for a system that provides air navigation services to international civil aviation over more than 20 million square kilometers. And he has personally been pushing for improvements in civil-military cooperation, coordination in South America. He has the knowledge and experience to help us, lead us through this conference, and further he straddles the civil and domestic sectors of aviation that are integrated in the efforts of this conference. So for Germany, it would be a pleasure to propose Mr. Dominguez, Director General of the Brazilian Airspace Control Department, as Vice Chairman of this conference.
Thank you, Germany. Any other nomination or secondment of the proposal from Germany, please? China.
Thank you, Mr. President. China supports the nomination from Germany and support Mr. Dominguez as the Vice President of the conference. In light of his background and his experience, especially, he can integrate military and civil aircraft, civil aviation, which is important to many countries. Therefore, we support the nomination of Germany, Mr. Dominguez, as the Vice President of the conference. Thank you.
Thank you, China. I see Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone. Okay, I think that was an error, right? Okay, thank you. I see no more requests for the floor. Accordingly, I declare that Brigadier General Dominguez, the Director General of the Airspace Management Agency of Brazil, is duly elected as Vice Chairperson of this conference. Congratulations. At this stage, once again, to congratulate Kirsten for her brilliant election, and to turn over the floor to her, you will proceed with managing the conference. Congratulations again, Kirsten.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. I'm honored and humbled to be elected your chair for the conference. I take this responsibility very seriously indeed. I've had the immense pleasure, while I served on the Air Navigation Commission, to see up close what ICAO at its best can do to improve global aviation standards and operations. ICAO at its best is all of us. To be effective, we need to understand and debate the current and future technical and operational issues that are being experienced by states and industry, so we can agree what actions to take collectively to maximize the benefit to the aviation community and society in general. Together, we have a significant responsibility. We are asked to come up with a set of realistic proposals that can be put forward to the ICAO Council and subsequently to the 40th Assembly. This will be reflected in ICAO's work program. ICAO's work program requires input from all of us, first to shape it, and then, importantly, to implement it. The Air Navigation Commission chose the theme From Development to Implementation to reflect the importance placed on implementation by ICAO and the need to move forward together. Moving the world closer to effective implementation, both now and in the future, should be our underlying goal over the next 2 weeks. The work we do here over the next 2 weeks will have an impact on the international aviation community and indeed the global community. So let us continually bear that in mind. I really look forward to working in collaboration with all of you to maximize the potential of this conference. Thank you very much. And now I think we will proceed with the role of electing the important positions of the chairman and the vice chairman of Committee A. I would like to invite states to propose their nominations for the chairman of Committee A. I see New Zealand, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. New Zealand proposes Mr. Alexis Braithwaite as chairperson of Committee A. Mr. Braithwaite is Manager Air Traffic Services and ANS Safety in the Air Navigation Services Division of the Trinidad and Tobago Civil Aviation Authority. Mr. Braithwaite has more than 27 years' experience in air navigation service, ranging from providing air traffic control to managing its provision throughout Trinidad and Tobago airspace. Mr. Braithwaite has also held executive roles at the International Federation of Air Traffic Controllers for 7 years, and he is very familiar with ICAO processes and procedures. Thank you.
Thank you, New Zealand. Would anyone like to second the nomination? The Netherlands, please.
Yes. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I have the honour to second the proposal made by my distinguished colleague from New Zealand for the chairman of Committee A. We believe that Mr. Alexis Braithwaite has the experience, dedication and commitment to international civil aviation and more specifically to air navigation to successfully lead the work of the Committee A. Thank you.
Thank you, the Netherlands. I see no other comments or objections from the floor, so I would now like to invite states to propose their nominations for Vice Chairman of Committee A. Niger, please.
Merci, Madame.
Thank you, Madam. Niger would like to nominate Mr. Peter Liu as Vice Chair of Committee A. Mr. Liu is the Director of the Air Traffic Department of the Civil Aviation Institution of the Infrastructure Ministry of Korea. Mr. Liu has 25 years of experience in drafting rules and regulations and policies for aviation, including safety oversight, search and rescue, and international relations. Mr. Liu was a member of the ANC from 2014 to 2017 and was alternate representative of Korea to the Council from 2005 to 2008. We have no doubt that Mr. Liu will be able to do an excellent job as Vice Chair of the committee. Thank you very much, Madam.
Merci, Niger. I would like to ask the conference if anyone would like to second the nomination of Mr. Peter Yu. Australia, please.
Thank you, Chair. I have the honour to second the proposal from the delegate from Niger for the Vice Chair of Committee A. We believe that Mr. Peter Yu's background, experience in international aviation matters makes him an excellent nomination for Vice Chair. Australia would like to second the nomination. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Australia. I see no objections or comments from the floor, so I would therefore like to congratulate the Chairman, Mr. Alexis Braithwaite, and the Vice Chairman, Mr. Peter Yu of Committee A. And we will now continue with the election of the Chairman and the Vice Chairman of Committee B. I would like to invite states to propose their nominations for Chairman. I would like to invite Turkey, please, to make their nomination.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Turkey would like to nominate Mr. Simon Aloti, Director General of Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, as the chairperson of the Committee B Safety. Mr. Aloti had a vast experience in different areas of aviation. He served on the Council of the ICAO from 2009 to 2010 and on ICAO Air Navigation Commission from 2011 to 2015. He was part of the ANC subgroup tasked with the review of newly developed ICAO Annex 19 on safety management, which was first published in 2013. He had previously served as chairman of the ICAO's Communications, Navigation and Surveillance subgroup for the African Indian Ocean region from 2005 to 2007, and as the chairman of the AFI Regional Aviation Safety Group from December 2015 to September 2017. He was also the chairman of the second ICAO meeting on the sustainable development of air transport in Africa, which was held in Accra in March 2017. With his qualifications and experience, it is our pleasure to nominate Mr. Aloti as chair of the Safety Committee. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Turkey. Would anyone like to second the nomination of Mr. Aloti or make any other? I would like to invite Nicaragua.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam. Nicaragua would like to second the motion to nominate Mr. Aloti. And we believe that with his great experience, he will be able to play a very effective role throughout the conference. Thank you very much.
Gracias, Nicaragua. I see no objections from the floor, so I would now like to invite states to propose their nominations for Vice Chair of Committee B. I would like to invite Romania to present their nomination.
Thank you, Mr. President. Romania would like to nominate Dr. Guruprasad Mohapatra as Vice Chairperson of the Committee B, Safety. Dr. Mohapatra is a chairman of Airports Authority of India, India's largest airport operator and sole air navigation services provider in the country. An alumnus of Jawaharlal Nehru University, Dr. Mohapatra completed his post-graduation in political science and international relations from the same university. He earned his PhD from Master of Science University, Baroda, and Master and MBA from Faculty of Economics, University of Slovenia. With an experience of over 30 years in Department of State and central government, he has served in different positions in various public sectors. An avowed proponent of creating infrastructure well ahead and of demand, Dr. Mohapatra has held various responsibilities with the government, and prior to joining AAE, he worked as Joint Secretary in the Department of Commerce in Government of India. It's a pleasure to nominate Mr. Mohapatra as Vice Chair of Safety Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Romania. Would anyone like to second the nomination? I would like to request Uganda to second the nomination.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson, and good morning, everyone. Congratulations, Madam Chairperson. We look forward to your wise wisdom and steering of the conference. Uganda has the honor and pleasure to second the nomination by Romania of Dr. Mohapatra as the Vice Chairperson of the Safety Committee. His rich experience in aviation and also in governmental affairs will help steer successful discussions in the committee and also the successful conclusion of the conference. So Uganda is very happy to second the nomination of Dr. Mohapatra for the Vice Chair of the committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Uganda. I see no objections from the floor, so I would like to congratulate the chairman, Mr. Simon Alotti, and the vice chair, Dr. Guru Prasad Mohapatra of Committee B. So I see we are being very efficient this morning, which is great news. So I'll just have a word with the Secretariat to see if we would like to proceed with starting this afternoon's program.
Yes, I think that can take some time
Okay.
to do a little preamble.
Thank you. So I would like to hand the floor over to Mr. Steve Creamer from the Director of the Air Navigation Bureau.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson, and thank you to all of the nominated and elected chairs and vice chairs for the conference. We look forward to working with you throughout the next 2 weeks. So we have a very busy agenda, and that agenda has been set and accepted by the conference and is informed by almost 300 working papers, which you have submitted over the course of the last 2 months. And you are responding to proposals that were made by the Secretariat in collaboration with the Air Navigation Commission and the panels of the Commission, as well as some select study groups. But I'd like to take you back before that for just a few minutes and informally describe for you some of the thought processes at ICAO that have led us to this conference and the structure with which it is currently set out. We had an extraordinarily successful set of years in 2016 and 2017 in terms of delivering a safety outcome in air transport which was unrivaled in the history of aviation. But at the same time, we are facing dramatic growth. Formally, I'll show some slides which you've seen before and we've heard about the expectation of a doubling of traffic. In the face of that doubling, we expect to need to conform to environmental restrictions related to noise and to emissions, which will exercise our technical acumen to be able to deliver efficient aircraft operating in an efficient way to reduce fuel burns while we are doubling or in some places tripling traffic. Anecdotally, it was described to me that in the Republic of China, there is an introduction today of one new commercial aircraft every 18 hours to their commercial register. And over the Asian continent, literally, that is being replicated throughout the region. And other parts of the world are also seeing this growth. The growth is not happening where it traditionally happened in the past. For the first 70 years of ICAO's history, that growth was centered in the transatlantic region. And many of the institutions and infrastructures which have guided the development of future aviation technology and procedures began in the North Atlantic region, transatlantic region. But today we see a need for that capacity and capability to expand beyond that region and actually to be a global enterprise, of which ICAO remains a central part. So the way we do standardization is designed around a very conservative approach, which is meant to deliver safety first. And that conservative approach has done exactly that. But it also has generated constraints. Constraints because we can't introduce new technology quickly enough, or we can't change procedures rapidly enough. And ultimately, those constraints are driven by our very careful evaluation of the capacity for that technology to deliver an outcome safely. Over the weekend, I was challenged as we talked about the priorities for the conference, because I focused on safety in that discussion. And the gentleman who challenged me said, you need to remember capacity is actually a big challenge in all of the regions of the world. And that's true. Capacity is an outcome that we're all driving towards, and that's why we're here for an air navigation conference. But that capacity has to be delivered efficiently and with the requisite level of safety in an environment that is becoming more and more complex with new industry players. We all know about drones, UAS, the potential for commercial space operations, hypersonic or subsonic operations, and of course, a proliferation of perhaps people-carrying air transport and air taxi operations in very different kinds of vehicles over the course of the next few years. So we have some questions that we're going to pose to the group this afternoon. And those questions, I hope, will be displayed on the screen for you. There are 4 questions. These questions will not be recorded. Your answers to these questions, if you choose to make them during the plenary, will not be recorded as part of the conference report from your state, but they will give us a sense of your view of how ICAO should move forward in the future. Not in the immediate future, because that's not how ICAO works. ICAO works in the distant future to support your immediate future. But we're interested in whether the current structure of the global plans as 2 separate plans is the right structure. Should we keep the safety plan and all of its imperatives separate from the air navigation plan? We have 2 strategies and 2 sets of work programs related to those strategies. But as you've seen from this conference, they are very tightly interwoven and interdependent upon each other. So beyond this next version of the GAMP and the GASP, which we will deliberate upon this week, we're already thinking about what's next. 5 years from now, what would we envision the next versions of the GAMP and the GASP needing to look like? Your feedback on that would be valuable in an informal way, either today or during the conference. As we have introduced more and more complex technology, which requires really advanced levels of training and understanding on the use of that technology by pilots, air traffic controllers, engineers, and other operators, we have come to find that we need more preparation for implementation. A new piece of technology without the requisite level of training and performance using it is really not going to reach, it's not going to gain that safety approval. Also, the interactions between the pilots and controllers and engineers who use that technology have to be carefully defined and globally accepted. Most of you flew here on an international flight where the pilots were trained to understand how air navigation services would treat them all over the world. And that training is a crucial harmonizing element of all of the future advances we make in air navigation so that we can deliver this product safely. ICAO knows we need to focus more on that implementation, and the Council has directed us through the No Country Left Behind initiative to think about how we can do that within the resources we have to support the states through our regional bodies, the planning and implementation regional groups, and the the regional aviation safety groups, so that both groups are focused on the regional needs and the national needs aligned with these global plans. So what should that focus and implementation be? We're interested in your ideas. As you look through the 300 working papers and the Secretariat's papers, we're interested in whether you think we've set the picture correctly. Are our priorities correct so that we can reach the challenges associated with this growing traffic, the diversity of traffic, the environmental challenge in a safe way? If not, we're open to hearing what needs to be changed. And finally, a meeting like this is perhaps not the most efficient way for us to interact in terms of sharing ideas, but it is a way where we formalize decisions which are taken globally. So we appreciate that, but we want to know if you believe these meetings should evolve to meet the needs of our modern world. Now, I'll talk more about this in the presentation with some background material after the lunch break, but this is just a teaser to offer you an opportunity to understand the context of the dialogue we'd like to have this afternoon starting at 3:30. That dialogue is an opportunity to informally tell the Secretariat and our governing bodies through your dialogue where you'd like to see ICAO's business plan adjusted, what the work program elements might need to be for the future in a very informal way. So that's the setup for this afternoon's dialogue, and if there are any questions related to that, I guess we could open to see if anybody has any question about the way to proceed. It will be, again, an informal give and take. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Creamer. I think it's interesting. These are some very important questions on the strategic direction for ICAO, and it's obviously not often that we have so many distinguished people in one place and so many DGs together in one room. So I think it's a really important opportunity for ICAO to hear the thoughts of the states on the future direction. I'll open the floor for any questions on the process. The discussion itself we will have later this afternoon after lunch, but are there any questions on this particular process or concept? Okay. Okay, I don't see any, so everybody's looking forward to lunch, I think. Lunch will be held from now until 2 o'clock and is very generously hosted by Aviation. It will be served at the foyer on the 4th floor, and we will reconvene in this room here for the plenary session for this afternoon. Now, we're all in the aviation business, and on-time performance is very important. So I'd ask you all please to be back no later than 13:55 so that we can commence and push back on time, and so that we have enough time to have this really important and interesting discussion this afternoon. I'd just like to remind you as well that this is a non-smoking building. So anybody that's leaving the building, either for a smoke or to have lunch outside, please remember that you'll have to go through security when you come back in. And I look forward to seeing you at 5 minutes to 2. Thank you and enjoy your lunch.